So, this movie, right, with probably the most awkward title ever. I mean, I don't get why. I mean, I mean, I know why, but I don't quite know why for a movie. One of those things. Um, so yeah, apparently it's a holiday or some sort of act. Yes, as usually. Apparently, there's two of them. Yeah, with the same name. That makes a lot of sense. But anyway, right. So this isn't strictly about a holiday, but of course, this is the point, right? I mean, obviously, it's a reference to this so-called holiday, which is a reference to the Revolutionary War, where this noun specifically referred to a uh, section, a party per se, not the generic sort of word that's usually used these days. And this is why it's just bizarre to use it for a movie title. And yeah, what's bizarre is that for most of the movie, it seems to be uh, mostly accurate from what I know. At least it happened. Non-sensationalized mostly. It's still it still has the usual hyperbolic nonsense that most movies of the kind have, a lot of swearing, a lot of machismo, but I mean, mostly it doesn't seem to be as weird as, I mean, it could be worse, shall we say. But then, yes, it veers badly and becomes worse. Because for some reason, yeah, the ending is just strange. Not that seeing and hearing from the people but yeah, that was okay, I suppose. But bah, in terms of the movie itself, it sort of took a bit out, and such. But no, of course, I mean, one of them saying that every victim is an ambassador for peace is a bit, not just a bit, very naively optimistic. But yeah, this is the thing. So the other thing as well that sort of connects to a bit in the movie where Mark's character, um, yeah, says that, oh, everyone responds with peace. Hmm. Yeah. Huh. So this is the thing. I mean, and that was actually the extent to which there was any self-reflection at all. So I've just pointed out there. I'm not even saying it's like its weakest point or anything, because everything else is technically worse than that. I mean, if it was a fictional movie, I suppose it would be even worse, because one of those things where they just don't non-stop stuff happening. And but I mean, yeah, responding to a question asking about whether it can be at all preventable, with that is the extent to which the movie tries to think. But that's pretty much is that's the extent, and then it stops, and it's not even coherent. um you know how is it coherent? I don't get it. It's not like they actually question it any longer either. The other person just listens and then just tells them, yeah, it's beautiful and such. Um, but yeah, it's not coherent, right? And I think it's sort of reflective in the at the end as to why it's not coherent. Of course, right? Yeah, on a very simple level. I mean, besides many other aspects. But yeah, I mean, this state perfectly responds similarly, and if not identically, well, let's just say similarly, to acts of violence that the violent people themselves commit, right? So so the only thing one can really conclude there is that this little bit about responding with love is propaganda. Really, I mean, it's not the worst kind. It's just you know at best naive or optimistic as well. But that's the extent to which it really tried to think, and it's really nothing at all. And I'm frankly surprised it's rated so highly, uh, even by critics apparently. Well, some at least apparently. Bostonian critics were more critical of it due to some inaccuracies and the fact that Max Cork didn't exist. But yeah, I don't know why they even put such things there. I mean, it's not the worst kind of propaganda, but it's not real at all, is it? It's sure enough. It's if it was real, then great, but it's not. And I mean, sure, the movie isn't about the death penalty, but if they bother to think just a slight bit more further on, and wonder why the state responds to this very similarly to how people respond with violence. I mean, in other words, everyone responds with violence. That then is unless he meant that individuals respond with laughs, but it's not really either. I mean, individuals respond with how those individuals respond when they're in a critical state. They just try to survive. That's pretty much it. So it's really some sort of it's either delusional or just. But I think so. The biggest problem I have with this movie is the title. It makes no sense. Uh, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Maybe they surely, maybe yeah, they wanted to refer to that party rebelling against the governors 200 years ago. I'm sure it has a lot to do. I'm sure the movie has a lot to do with what happened 200 years ago. Yeah, not, you know? Yeah. I mean, I know that, yes, the marathon happens on such a holiday, but it has nothing to do with it, honestly. It just doesn't. So it's like a chain of whispers, and each one goes further from the last. And we're at the stage where we're connecting something from 200 years ago with something that has absolutely nothing to do with it. But of course, why did they do that? Of course, they wanted something. They had an intention. So they intended for something. Because sure enough, for people who've never heard of the holiday, never read of it, who do not bother, of course, more importantly, who do not bother to even look it up, I would simply think, yeah, that's what it is. But yeah, it has nothing to do with it. Nothing at all to do with anything. And it's such an absurd concept. Oh, of course, that's the whole point as well. That these days, people mean something entirely different. When in fact it refers to a different concept, really. I mean, nothing these days, nothing to do with people rebelling against Britain, right? Which had its 13 colonies back then. This is what makes no sense. And even though, I mean, it doesn't have the worst kind of propaganda within the movie itself, and seems to have mostly been accurate, even though, just still have nonsense, but, um, I mean, I personally still found interesting how the detective work happened there. Not entirely sure if that happens for real, but that was interesting. Got to admit. Sort of backtrace and search, and then look up individual cameras based on where they're likely to go and such. But this is the point, and they're wondering why it didn't do too well commercially. I mean, what do they expect? It's a title that has nothing to do with the movie. I had no idea what it was before I decided to watch it. I thought based on the title on itself. Not that I care too much about, um, I don't generally. So, but not many people are like that. People would see a title and just like I thought as well, it would be just absolutely chock full of, uh, and I mean it wasn't as it happens, which is a surprise. But they did have a slight bit, but nothing like other movies I sometimes watch. So really, the title makes it sound even worse than it is, which is absurd. Yeah, I have no idea what this Berg director thought about it. Makes no sense, or maybe he just names them after the most directly nominal thing, I guess, because he had another movie about Deepwater Horizon, and he literally named it Deepwater Horizon. So maybe that's it. But really, if anything, it just should have been called Boston Marathon or something, I mean, I bet it would have been more commercially successful if it wasn't. Actually, honestly, how names um are conjured up is a mystery. Um, yeah. Then again, I mean, you know, Shawshank Redemption is very popular, and I don't think anyone would really know what it means unless they actually watch it and find out what redemption is about and what the heck a Shawshank is. I actually kind of forgot. Was it a prison? Huh, forgot what. Anyway, yeah. This is the problem. I mean, otherwise, it fulfills its purpose as a thriller, based on real events, which I was aware of before, but not quite to the extent that it happened. Still need to verify if he really ran over his own brother with a car. It's a bit bizarre. Uh, Still don't know though. Yeah, it was bizarre that they called it worse than 9/11. How is it worse when one had no oh they did call it second worst I think, but it's not even that. One had 2000 and the other three. Yeah. It's very ironic. I thought that as it began they were memorializing shooting victims. Of course, that's the thing. I mean, I noticed that there is a movie also about the Aurora shooting, but I don't think there's anything else. There's probably Columbine movies, but there are so many shooting incidents that it'd be quite something. I mean, they probably with all the thrillers that are about fictional thrillers, I suppose they could make a movie, but then they become repetitive, like they are in real life. I'm assuming they only made one about the Aurora one because it literally happened in a cinema, so they thought it would be cinematic or something. It's probably a Bagman in the background as he starts to shoot. It's because they think that that makes money, and money is all they care about, of course. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, just Um, these kind of movies are really mostly depressing. I mean, sure enough, much more depressing than fictional thrillers and such. Even though fictional thrillers have usually even more deaths and such, they usually do. But yeah, the fact that it happened for real, um, the fact anyone can mention such movies in relation to entertainment, which I sometimes read, is a bit absurd in my opinion. I don't think one can really ever be entertained by such incidents, really, ever. Um, yeah, I mean, personally, I'm not really incredibly entertained by even a fictional, like, more action or thrilling movie. But I guess there is a sort of different, yeah, entertainment per se isn't that though, quite. When it comes to horror, though, that's sort of a different quality. It's not so much entertainment as in and as in liking it. It's more like it serves its purpose to horrify. And with this, I guess it does serve its purpose too. But even a thriller is the wrong word. It raises blood pressure, sure, but one doesn't just simply like it in any way. So I thought I suppose there must be people who do somehow. Yeah. Hmm. Anyway,